We finally made it. Countdown to craziness is here. Duke basketball is back in our lives, and this is such a great feeling. We've got a ton to talk about here today on Locked On Blue Devils.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is J.J. Jackson. So great to have you here with us today on this Friday, October 3rd, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. On today's show, we're diving into Countdown to Craziness tonight. We'll talk a little bit about Duke football's game against Cal coming up this weekend, and we're going to have this great, awesome conversation with the new friend of the program. Anna Snyder of the Fayetteville Observer is going to be on the show with us today, so excited to bring her into the Locked On Blue Devils family and talk all things Duke here on today's show. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review, and then also watch us each and every day on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share these videos with your friends. Like it. Your support means so much to us here with what we're doing at Locked On Blue Devils. So without further ado, let's bring her on into the show. Anna Snyder's here with us today. Anna, the time is so greatly appreciated. I hope things are going well in your world. How are you today?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I got to get into it here with you about all the things happening in the life of Duke. You're one of the newest members on the beat for Duke athletics this season. So kind of give us a little background of your sports writing career and how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Canton, Georgia. I went to Kennesaw State University and I graduated from there 2 years ago now, which is crazy. But I started working at the Tuscaloosa News a couple months out of college. There I was covering high schools and some Alabama athletics. And then, a couple months ago, I heard of this opportunity here to cover Duke, and one thing led to another, and now I'm here. So I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, incredible opportunity to be able to jump in and be around this Duke program in so many different ways. I think I've heard you speak previously and written before about kind of your family's love and affinity for Duke athletics, your dad in particular, right? Yes. And so this is going to be a really cool moment.
Yes, my dad, he is a big sports guy, and he was always watching Duke growing up or when I was growing up. So yeah, it's definitely very cool. He's already hounding me to get him tickets for games. I'm like, Dad, I can't do that.
That's so fun.
Yeah, he's excited.
So we've got Countdown to Craziness here, and obviously it's a big opportunity to see the team. You don't really know what all you're going to be able to take away, X's and O's wise, how the team's looking and whatnot, but it's a big event that everybody looks forward to. What have you been told about Countdown to Craziness? How excited are you for the chance to get to kind of take this all in for the first time?
Yeah, I've talked, with my coworker about it a little bit with Rod Baxley. But I'm just excited. I think it's going to be so cool. I've been in Cameron at this point, but I haven't seen it, like Phil and the students and everything like that. So I'm just super excited. It's crazy. It's here. Like I remember hearing about it a couple months ago and I'm like, now it's here. But it'll be cool to get to see the guys scrimmage a little bit too and just get to see what it's all about. But I'm just super excited.
Without a doubt. I think it's a really cool moment to get the player introductions there. That's typically the only thing that people take away and remember from this or all of the player intros. I know they take a lot of thought into picking out what song they want to walk out to, maybe show off a dance move or two before we actually get into the team. When we look at the team, there are the 5 returners and then 5 freshmen. And so personalities have to take shape for any team. And it feels like this is kind of the early part of the season where you're trying to figure out those things.
100%. It will be cool to kind of get to see, like the more human guy to the side, the more human side to the guys, you know what I mean? Get to see their personalities a little bit. So that'll be fun. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they got planned.
Okay, so when we look at this Duke team, like I mentioned, 5 guys coming back. Duke was one of the only teams in the entire country that did not have a single scholarship player enter the transfer portal. And then you add into that yet another top recruiting class in all of college basketball, puts together this kind of unique blend. When you look at how John Shire and his staff made up this roster, what are your early thoughts on it, Anna?
I mean, like you said, it's a good blend of returners and youth. And I think that's the way you want it. You want to have these young guys that can come in and learn from these older guys that'll show them the ropes and show them definitely sounds like they're meshing well. We had media day last week, and everything they said, they're like, yeah, we're a young team, but our expectations are high. And I think it was Cameron Boozer. He said he was like, I think this is the best team I played on. No, I know that this is the best team I played on. So their expectations are very high, and I think it's going to come together to be a good roster. Good group.
Yeah, it's great to hear Cam Boozer say that when you think about all the winning that he and his brother Caden have done throughout their entire lives, to then say this is the best team I've been a part of. That's just kind of
100%.
crazy to conceptualize.
I know the four consecutive, Florida basketball state titles, cap it off with a national championship. I know. So it is crazy. It is.
What a career they had in high school. Now, hopefully, it's able to continue into a lot of winning ways for Duke. I certainly expect that. From a leadership perspective, you've got Caleb Foster coming back for his third season in the program. Feels like everybody's turning to him to kind of lead, take this team by charge. What have you heard about him so far this offseason and going into another season?
Yeah, definitely. I heard he was in Durham, all the offseason, putting in work, putting in the grind. And it definitely, you can tell the way that the coaches talk about him, the players talk about him. He is going to be the leader of this team, and they are really relying on him. And they had nothing but positive things to say, especially about him coming back. And definitely seems like they will rely a lot on him. And it seems like he's ready for that.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a big year out of Caleb Foster and see what the next level of his games look. It feels like he's put in a lot of work in the weight room. I know Coach Carrawell was very complimentary of how much work he had put in that aspect. And then another guy I think that you're going to look to be one of those bigger leaders just in terms of an on-the-court product is Isaiah Evans, and seeing what his sophomore season jump could look like. It's a guy that didn't play as much as he would like this past year, but had really high moments and bright spots for Duke. What have you heard about him?
Yeah, Isaiah, obviously, he said he put some thought into going to the draft, ended up coming back to Duke, and it seems the same. He's had a good offseason. He's excited for this year, and it seems like, obviously, the guys around him trust him. So it will be exciting to see. Super excited to see what the Duke team's going to be able to do when you blend all that experience with the youth of a freshman class. We mentioned Cameron Boozer. All right, tell me a little bit more about these freshmen that Duke's got going on this season. What are you expecting? Yeah, Duke has some good freshmen per usual. Definitely expecting them to make a mark. Dame Sarr is one of them. He speaks 6 languages, by the way, which I just think cannot be ignored. That to me is crazy. But he's been obviously coming from the European, playing over there. It's a little different for him. But it sounds like they're all adjusting really well. And they all are definitely expected to make impacts. So you have some coming in, obviously, Dame with international experience. A lot of them are coming in with USA basketball experience. And it's fun. Some of them played together or played against each other at the high school level. So it's a cool mix of guys, but it seems that they're all blending really well together. Yeah, that's something I don't always talk about. But when you are recruiting at the absolute top in the sport and you're going after the best guys in the country, they're playing on circuits and putting themselves in position to go against one another. And then you get this really cool opportunity. Of course, the brothers have played together, but now they've got more guys that they get to go up head to head against when you think about Nick Kaminia and the high level of basketball that he played in preps. And now he's getting to play with other good, talented guys. Yeah, definitely. I think it was Sebastian Wilkins that they played against. There you go. Yeah. But I think it was the Boozer brothers that they played against. So it's funny how things go full circle. Yeah, and now they get the opportunity to team up, and really excited. I mean, countdown to craziness a little bit later tonight. Big time performance for Duke. We're expecting fun things in the introduction department, and then we'll see what the kind of blue-white thing looks like for Duke moving forward. All right, I want to transition, want to talk a little football. Big win for the Blue Devils over Syracuse this past week. So we'll start to dive into that here in just a moment when Locked On Blue Devils continues. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving you more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it all down. For Duke football this past weekend, how about Nate Sheppard delivering in such a big way for the Blue Devils? Nearly 200 all-purpose yards. He scores a couple of times and does so much. When the pressure was on, Nate Sheppard came through this Saturday for Duke. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, you know that this performance wasn't a fluke. Nate Sheppard is on a streak. And just like he delivered for Duke, DoorDash delivers for you on Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits.
Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. DoorDash is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, welcome back into the program. JJ Jackson here with Anna Snyder from the Fayetteville Observer. All right, let's talk football now. We'll talk about a Duke team that's got a 3-2 record on the season, unbeaten in both of their conference games so far with wins over NC State and Syracuse. And wow, to win by 5 scores in the ACC against a Syracuse team that had just knocked off Clemson. I understand the backup quarterback dynamic and all of this, but still, what an impressive showing it was for Duke.
Oh, 100%. And going off the backup quarterback showing, that was the thing a lot of Duke coaches were talking about going into that week. You know, even though they have their backup, they've still proven their offense is one of the top in the nation. Even with going into this year, they had a new quarterback, and he still picked it up right where they left off last year. But yeah, just dominant in all phases for Duke. Coach Diaz said it was their best performance of the season, clearly, but not the best performance they're capable of. But it's definitely good to see for the Duke football program for sure.
Yeah, which is really crazy to think about defensively being the focus there, because I mean, this going into the season, I know that you were talking about how well they played defensively last year. You bring back a lot of the same guys. You're expecting that to be, the standard that you're living up to. I can think back to last season, first game of the year for Duke in 2024 against Elon. They only scored 3 points. And so here we are. It's not until your 5th game of the season against a conference opponent that the defense really gives you one of those super strong showings like this.
Yeah. There definitely was a lot of talk going into the season about the defense. And I know a few games in, people were like, oh my gosh, they don't have any takeaways yet. But, the coaches said it. They didn't stress. They knew it would come, and look where they are now. I think they had 3 in the last game, a couple more before that. I want to say they've had 7 across their last 3 games. So the defense has really turned it around and really been dominant. And offense click as well. So they're really just clicking in all phases.
At this point, all you can do as Duke football fans is listen and believe the coaches when they say those things, because you just look at the numbers, and it was kind of eye-opening that you go through 2 full games, no takeaways, and then here they are putting together a ton. And then offensively, Darian Mensah has been the big story for Duke throughout the course of the season. It's a guy that you go out in the transfer portal and bring in, and you want to elevate your quarterback play. And week after week, he just continues to really impress me. What about you?
Oh, yes, definitely same. He's leading the ACC in passing yards, almost at the top of the FBS. You can just tell too, he has that like cool, calm, collected persona about him. And you really can just see that translate onto the field, and his teammates trust him. And he's been a great addition for Duke. And he also has some great weapons too. He's got some really good wide receivers, tight ends. So that really just makes it all work for Duke.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because I definitely pick up on it. I know you've gotten a chance to interview him a couple of times and kind of know a little bit more about his. How is he so calm? How is he so cool under pressure? You would feel like there's so much pressure to deliver, knowing that at this point, everyone knows you're the top guy. You've got a pretty paycheck, all the things. Yeah. How is he able to stay so calm? What have you found out?
He's from California, so I will say he definitely has that like California cool chill about him. Right. He's definitely just confident in himself, and that's, I feel like, all you can ask for. He knows that he can do it, and I feel like that's just all that you need in a quarterback. And he knows that he has the trust in his teammates and his coaches, and I feel like that kind of just makes it all go together really well.
It's paying off for Duke, and hopefully he's able to continue to play well these last couple of games. Hasn't turned the football over. That's been a really big part. And what I've enjoyed every game so far of the 5, it's not like he's only focusing on one wide receiver or tight end or running back. I mean, you look after these games, and it's 8, 9, 10 different receivers sometimes that walk away with a catch or 2.
Yes, definitely. I think Cooper Barkate's leading them right now, but Coach Diaz said it earlier this week. Andrell Anthony is just a game or 2 away from having an explosive game like that. He keeps running his routes and doing his things and getting open, and it'll just click. But that definitely is another big addition for the Duke offense. They don't just have one guy that he can throw it to. They have multiple, and you definitely see that.
Okay, now we got to highlight Nate Sheppard, because, wow, what a game he had this past week. He's really looking more and more comfortable for Duke in that running back room the last few weeks.
Yes, Nate has come in, and when I first started covering Duke, I heard a lot about Nate, and it's showing up, and it's not surprising. Coming into the season, Duke definitely they put a lot of emphasis on the running game, and you can really see that paying off. And with Nate in, they also have Anderson Castle, an Appalachian State transfer. He's been pulling a lot of the weight there. And yeah, Nate, last week was his first start, and I think it's safe to say we can expect to see him starting more games going forward. But it's really good to have that balance for the Duke offense.
Yeah, so there's not as much pressure on Darian Mensah to be excellent in what he does. If you know that you can hand the football off and you feel just as comfortable. Duke was second to last in the ACC running last season. And I know going into the year, there was a lot of talk about that running back room. You felt good because you've got Jacquez Moore, you've got Peyton Jones, who had Duke football and ACC experience. And I think it just shows how, talented this running back room is, that here we are, we're highlighting Nate Sheppard and Anderson Castle and not as much those other two guys who are the known commodities.
100%, yes. But coaches have definitely made it clear, it's going to still be, running back by committee, but they still have all the guys, in the rotation. I don't know. I think Jacquez may have gotten a little, I don't want to say injured is not the right word, but a little banged up.
Sure.
So I don't know if he's fully 100%. I know on the injury report a couple weeks ago, he was listed as questionable, but got taken off. But it has been really cool to see those new guys, those younger guys really just come in and pick it up.
Yeah, you take advantage of the opportunity. Then there's not as much pressure on the other guys if they are questionable to kind of return back to play sooner than they need to and that sort of thing. So again, shout out to Nate Sheppard for taking advantage of these opportunities. And then defensively, we look at what Duke's been able to do the last couple of weeks, getting those takeaways like we talked about and whatnot. If there were kind of an area of this team that you think still needs to improve a little bit more, what would that be?
An area to improve. I know the secondary, well, I guess just all around, I would say penalties. Coach Diaz has talked on it. Penalties, they definitely need to work on, playing a little cleaner and avoiding some of the penalties that you can avoid. But, overall, I feel like they're really hitting their flow right now. But cleaner football was always something that you want to play. It's always something that you want to do. So I would say that's probably the big point of emphasis that they're really looking to clean up is just the penalties.
Doesn't surprise me at all to hear a coach getting after them about that because, those are the things you got to be able to control and take care of. So awesome. Really good stuff there. Now Duke's got the chance to continue their winning ways with another game on the road. This time they're going to be heading way out west to take on Cal. So we'll talk a little bit more about that game after we take one more time out here today on Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. This episode brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. These are the moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is, how about we continue to spotlight the Duke football defense late in the game. There at the end of the fourth quarter, Duke's winning by 5 scores. Syracuse is calling timeouts, trying to punch it in and score a touchdown, and the Duke defense doesn't let that happen. Incredible performance for them moving the game forward. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move or be moved, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, let's keep going here. Last segment on the show today with Anna Snyder from the Fayetteville Observer. Now we're going to talk about Duke. They get set to go on the road to Cal. Still getting used to the new ACC outlook. It's the all-coast conference, we say, tongue-in-cheek. And now Duke gets set to take on Cal. What are you thinking going into this game?
Yes, definitely a long road trip for Duke. I'll tell you that. I believe they left Thursday, so left yesterday to get, adjusted to that time change. They kind of had to move their practice schedule around, but I like Duke's chances going into this one. Obviously, Cal has that freshman quarterback. I think they've been playing a lot better than some people may have expected this year, but Duke is they're coming off their best performance of the game or the season. They do have a cross-country road trip, but I don't really see that stopping Duke.
I saw earlier in the week, Duke put out some photos of, a late night practice that they did, kickoff at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm always thinking about in football season, you'll hear, pumping in the crowd noise. Maybe we'll play the school's fight song and the marching band and all the loud noises, but never really think about how would you get used to such a big time difference. And so very clever, I thought, we'll put out some spotlights here and go out late at night to try to get your body acclimated a little bit to playing later in the day.
Yes. And they invited students out for that. I just thought that's such
fun.
an idea. Definitely very fun. Because I mean, that's a big adjustment. It's good for them that they're getting to go out there an extra day. I think Coach Diaz said they did their walkthroughs on Thursday too. So really just get themselves acclimated. And he said by the time they kick off, ball will just be ball. So they'll be ready, I'm sure.
Yeah, excited to see this one. Obviously, Duke's been able to get off to some quicker starts offensively as of late. I'll be really curious if they're able to do that once again, if Darian Mensah kind of gets them in the groove, or kind of what the flow of this game sort of looks like. What are some of those final big keys to this game that you think are going to be important?
Yes, definitely defense. They're going to have to put some pressure, on the freshman quarterback. Definitely finding their groove early offensively. I think establishing the run game will be important, kind of picking up where they left off last week for Duke. I feel like defense just has got to set the tone. And when the defense sets the tone, the offense can kind of just take it from there.
Big time stuff for Duke. Hopefully they're able to continue their winning ways, improve to 4-2 overall, and another win in ACC play. Of course, we also have Countdown to Craziness a little bit later tonight. Full go in the world of Duke athletics and what you have there at the Fayetteville Observer. And how can people follow your coverage? How can they best support you?
Yes, so you can find my stories online at fayobserver.com, and I also post them to my Twitter, which is Anna E. SNYDR. It's play on my last name, but not fully my last name.
There we go. That's awesome stuff. Thank you for being here today. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That's Anna Snyder here with us on Locked On Blue Devils. Thanks again to Anna Snyder for the Fayetteville Observer for joining us on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Really enjoyed her perspective as one of the newest members on the Duke beat. So go follow along with all of her written work and support her with what she does as we look at the Duke basketball team going into Countdown to Craziness tonight. A couple of newsy things to talk about before the end of today's show here. Saw yesterday that Duke officially announced Jace McCain as their new player development specialist. So he's the last member kind of the coaching staff for Duke. Remember, Justin Robinson had been in that role for the Blue Devils last season. Now he's a part of the Lakers coaching staff with J.J. Redick and Lindsey Harding. Now you've got Jace McCain, who Kevin Conley earlier this offseason, he officially gets that. So Jared's older brother, who spent the last 2 seasons on staff for John Shire as a GA, is now an official coach. As we look at what Coach Shire had to say, quote, "We're thrilled to add Jace McCain to our staff as player development specialist. Jace has built unique and meaningful relationships with our players during his time as a graduate assistant. I've seen firsthand the impact he's had on their growth and development on the court. He brings unbelievable energy and natural instincts that will make him a tremendous complement to our existing staff. Jace is the finishing touch to what we believe is an energetic and dynamic coaching staff, and I'm excited for the influence he'll continue to have on our program," end quote. So high praise for Jace McCain. Again, the older brother of Jared McCain, who played for Duke for 1 season, drafted in the first round of the 76ers. Now Jared's getting ready for his 2nd season in the NBA. Jace McCain, the new player development guy for the Duke Blue Devils. There's a new episode of the Duke basketball podcast there where he's talking with Caden Boozer about the new role. So go check that out, that Duke basketball put out and released. And then I also want to give a shout out to Kara Lawson, the head coach of Duke women's basketball, who last week was named the head coach of Team USA. Really high honor for her. She was an assistant coach for Team USA in their Olympic run this past year in 2024, and now going into the 2028 Summer Games that will be played in Los Angeles, stateside for the 2028 Olympics. Kara Lawson is the head coach for the United States. Such a big honor. Pretty cool for a school like Duke that you had Mike Krzyzewski be the head coach for all those years running with Team USA basketball. And now for a recruiting pitch from the Duke women's side of things, Kara Lawson gets to take over the reins, and she is the head coach for the Team USA there when they go into the 2028 Olympics. I absolutely love that. All right, so we've got Countdown to Craziness a little bit later tonight. And then again, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, Duke football tomorrow taking on Cal. Very late night for Duke football as they get set to hopefully win their 3rd ACC game of the season. Be sure, as always, to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review, and then watch our show each and every day on YouTube. Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. A special shout out to all of the everydayers that we have in the world of Locked On Blue Devils. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you soon. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.